Hello and welcome to the CinemATL podcast. The CinemATL podcast is a weekly podcast that examines the world of entertainment through the lens of local Atlanta filmmakers. That would be us, your hosts. I'm Michael D. Friedman, and that is
Martin Kelly. And today we have two guests from the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, which is going on right now, February 17th through the 28th. We have Jason Evans and Sari Earl. And they're going to talk all about the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival and how it is transformed during this time of COVID.
But first, Martin, don't you have something to tell our listeners about how they can help the podcast out?
Sure. As always, you can help us out by rating, subscribing, liking, commenting, sharing wherever you listen to this podcast. And that is usually on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, and even on YouTube.
Yes, and we also want to hear from you. You can always tweet us at CinemATL or at my personal account at Badger33.
Or you can catch me at Marte_Real1.
And of course, don't forget our world famous Instagram account at CinemATL Podcast.
Definitely world famous. And of course,
in my mind.
Exactly. And it's definitely world famous, for sure, Mike. And also our legacy site where we host not only CinemATL, but also the Atlanta Film Chat or AFC at CinemATL.com.
All right. So that does it for our intro. We're excited to talk to Jason Evans and Sari Earl of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. So let's just do that.
All right. So we're here with Jason Evans and Sari Earl, and we'd like you to, kind of introduce yourselves and tell us what you do and what you do with the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival.
Hi. Well, thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it again this year. The Atlanta Jewish Film Festival is having its 21st year, and I have the lucky experience of being vice president of the board. I have been a board member for a number of years, and I have been on a number of different committees, and the festival is just a fantastic experience. I came to the festival from American Jewish Committee, the founder and partner of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. I particularly enjoy the work in our interfaith and intergroup partnerships and in the dialogues around films. I've been on the board for, I think, 7 years, and it's a fantastic experience, and I highly recommend it.
And I'm a local film critic, and my involvement with the festival is I've been the chair for the past 3 years, the co-chair, I should say, of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival's Film Evaluation Committee. Prior to that, I served on the committee, and I've been the chair of our guest programming committee in the past as well. I've been associated with the festival for 15 plus years, I think. Basically, for the past several years, it's the job of me and my committee to pick the films that will appear in the festival. Actually, that's not quite accurate. We don't pick them. We pick the ones that are finalists, and then there are other folks who pick the actual films that go on the festival. But we watch all the terrible films so that we give you nothing but great films. And I mean, it is nothing but great films.
I have to agree with Jason. I served on film evaluation for one term, and I was like, I'm going to wait for the festival because they've been curated, they've been vetted, and if it makes it to the festival, it means it's a good film. So yeah, I wait for the festival.
I should note that we watch 500, 600, 700 plus films every year to pick the 30, 40, 50 or so that make it into the festival. So with that kind of ratio, yeah, we watch a lot of terrible movies, but goodness knows, the ones that make it into the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, they are all awards contending kind of films. They're really, it's unlike any festival else that I happen to look at because the quality of the films are so universally excellent.
Nice. Well, one of the things, like before we kind of go further, talk about just in general when the festival's happening and sort of how people can access it.
So the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival 2021 is reimagined and reinvented. It's February 17th to February 28th. But what's really cool about this year's festival is that you can buy tickets and in opening windows, and then you have 3 days to watch your film. And it's all virtual except for some phenomenal, exciting experiences we're having at the Home Depot backyard at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We are hosting drive-in movies that are going to be a celebration of safely being together and a great celebration of films. We have one film called Shiva Baby, and that's just going to be a lot of fun. A lot of young professionals from American Jewish Committee attending, and a lot of our great partner groups. We're showing Little Shop of Horrors and my favorite, Spaceballs.
Yes.
And they're really, the purpose of the in-person drive-in is really to give people an experience to be out and about. We're having food trucks, we're having donut trucks, we're having giveaways, and we really want people to have a little bit of a break and a relief from COVID, but to do it safely and to do it in a way that really engages the audience, but keeps everyone in their car.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the festival's basically, when we were recording this, or when you were listening to this, the festival actually would have started yesterday, unfortunately. But with that 3-day window, would people be able to watch the premiere night film still?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. As Sari was saying, the great thing about this is you've got a 72-hour window, and you can decide to watch the film at any point you want in those 72 hours. And our virtual studio, our virtual home theater, so to speak, that we've set up is really, really easy to use. I've obviously over the past 9 months to a year, like all of us, I've spent a tremendous amount of time streaming movies and the such. And this is one of the easiest platforms that I've ever seen.
Great. How do people access it?
I mean, the simplest thing you do is you go to the AJFF website, ajff.org, and you purchase a ticket. You only need one ticket, for everyone in your household, everyone who's going to be watching it with you. And that ticket comes with a special code. And then you go to a website, watch.ajff.org, type in that code, and your movie plays. I mean, that's how easy it is. And the other thing is, we wanted people to be comfortable with this, and we wanted to test it. We wanted everyone to know how the system would work. Right now, if you go to ajff.org, we have a insider preview party, and you can sign up for a free ticket to the insider preview, and it'll generate your code for you. You go to watch.ajff.org and type in that code, and you can watch this 30-minute long special insider preview that does a great job of telling you some of the wonderful films that are going to be in the festival. And it's also a great way of knowing exactly how this virtual cinema is going to work and seeing how easy it is to use.
I have to confess, I had my husband help me do it, but we used Apple TV. We have apps available through Apple TV, through Roku, a number of different ways. But the thing that really has been functioning well for people is that we have a helpline. So anybody struggles or has trouble, just call the helpline and they'll walk you through it.
Nice.
That sounds terrific. Yeah, that sounds really user-friendly. That's awesome.
So one thing, the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival is not really old in terms of film festivals, but it has grown rapidly over the years. So can you guys kind of give us kind of insight on how you were able to grow the film festival so fast?
Well, I'll take this one first. Sari's going to have some wonderful insight on this, I'm sure. But I want to go first and say this. The Atlanta Jewish Film Festival is the largest Jewish film festival in the world in terms of number of people who attend, number of tickets sold. So we're here in Atlanta, but we've got something that is absolutely world class. And I believe the reason it has grown so much and the reason it has become so popular, not just in the Jewish community, but among anyone who appreciates cinema in our city, is because there's a great sense of community around these films. We pick really interesting movies and we have really compelling conversations about them. Kenny Blank, the guy who, the executive director of the festival and really the driving force behind it. When I used to be on the guest programming committee, he would say to me that without our guests, without the conversation that our guests generate around these films, you're just going to the movies. And we want something much more special than that. And I really think even in this crazy pandemic time, we're going to be having the kind of really compelling conversations that are what make us all love movies so much. But I'll let Sari, you talk more about why this thing's grown so huge because you've been a part of it.
Well, thanks, Jason. AJFF is unique in that it celebrates our community and it celebrates Jewish film, but it also is really about the experience of being together. When I go every year, I have certain friends that I always call, and it's funny. I have different groups of people I go with, and it's a very diverse group of people. I have quite a number of friends who are not Jewish, who love the film festival, even volunteer on a lot of our different committees. And that's what makes it so fascinating. It's like all the different lenses that we bring in to process these stories together. And then, as Jason said, the conversations afterwards, they're really meaningful. And you can really feel a connection in a way that you can't otherwise feel. We're going to be focusing on that this year. We use the tagline "Together Through Film," because we really want people to feel together. People are isolated. This is a tough time. We're offering virtual lobbies. We're offering places for people to meet. We have a wonderful group of schools that we work with. We have a lot of partner organizations around the community. A number of different schools are on board, and we're going to be setting up opportunities for them to have their own class time, meeting time, lobby time. One school, I guessed, attended one of their classes via Zoom last week, and the teacher was fabulous. And she said, for every film that every student watches, they will get extra credit. And there was no limit to the number of extra credits they could get as long as they watched the films. So there's an energy to it.
I like that teacher. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So enthusiastic. I mean, that's what you just find is people are just so energized by not just the films, but by the community and the community experience together, and then unpacking it together. And then I have to say, every year at closing night, when people are leaving, they pretty much say, I can't wait till next year. And how can I volunteer?
Nice. Nice.
Guys, I hate to keep on going without letting you guys jump in and have a question. But Sari and I both talked a little bit about this notion of the conversation that happens around the films, which we both noted that's the secret sauce, so to speak, that has made this festival so great. In combination, I think, with high quality movies. Look, no one wants to talk about a really bad film, so you got to have good films first of all. But once you have a good film, having a good conversation, having a compelling conversation about it is the way you get your audience engaged and get them to fall in love with you. And I wanted to say that in these crazy pandemic times, it feels like it would be really hard to have a conversation. We've actually noticed the exact opposite has happened. This year at the festival, we have access to stars, filmmakers, people involved with these movies in a way that we've never had in the past, because we always used to have to bring them to Atlanta. Now, we would do that sometimes, but sometimes it was really difficult. Even if we had the funds to bring them to Atlanta, they would say, well, I'm kind of busy doing something else.
Right.
Well, now, because of the virtual world, we're going to be able to bring the people involved in these films into your home, even though they're not in Atlanta. And I'll give you a great example of this. Our closing night film is a profile of Howie Mandel, the amazing comedian, host, actor, one of the most interesting characters in all of Hollywood. It's a great film. I was very fortunate. I was very lucky. I got to sit down via Zoom with Howie Mandel and have a conversation with him about the film, about how he's handling the pandemic, about his Jewishness and his connection to community, about all kinds of interesting things. Me and Howie Mandel just sitting here chatting. And that's part of your experience at the festival. When you buy a ticket to that Howie Mandel biography, you will also get access to my conversation with Howie. That is one of the highlights of my life.
Nice.
Right.
I'm gonna give a little secret. So Jason's right. The Q&As are phenomenal, and you get a lot more out of them if you've experienced the film. But this year, in addition to putting the preview of the film festival free and available to anyone who wants on our website, we are also going to make Q&As available. So even if you didn't necessarily see a film, you can still go on YouTube and catch these 30-minute gems of conversations with directors, with actors, with the subjects of the film. It's great stuff. So you don't even necessarily have to have a ticket. We want you to have it because that's really the full experience to then really enjoy those conversations. But we don't want that to stand in the way of anyone getting the opportunity to really encounter some of these phenomenal guests that we've been able to get for the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival 2021.
Nice.
Yeah, that's terrific. I think the next question we were going to have, I was going to ask you about how you're adapting to the to the pandemic, and you answered a lot of those questions. But I guess maybe I'm going to spin it a little different way. The stuff that you're doing to adapt to the pandemic, how do you see it moving forward? Are you going to take this opportunity to incorporate it into future film festivals moving forward?
I'm going to jump on this one, Jason. So, in another hat that I wear in my life, I like to work in the area of disability and inclusion, and it's very important to me. And I've been very involved in volunteer activities for years. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the film festival this year, Atlanta Jewish Film Festival 2021, is accessible to everyone, and it's heartwarming for me that someone who cannot physically get into the theater or possibly drive at night or have some other impediment to being able to participate can truly participate fully in this film festival.
Right.
The other thing that's really cool about it is that we now have, because we're doing everything via Zoom, we now have some people who would have not been able to enter our building, joining our committees and being on the Zoom calls and participating and having a voice at the table. And I don't want to ever see that end. I'd like to keep that, always have some aspect of accessibility and inclusivity moving forward for every single film festival from here and on.
And the other thing I would add to that is I think we need to see, what works, what doesn't, although I think pretty much everything is going to work, just because, I know that folks have put a ton of effort and thought into making sure it all goes smoothly and that we're doing the smartest things we possibly can. But we will see what works best. And I absolutely envision a situation where we're taking some of the lessons and some of the things we've learned during the pandemic and applying them to our future in terms of expanding our audience, expanding our reach, and expanding our conversations.
No, I think that's important, and it's kind of a theme of some of the festivals that are already going this year, and then you guys are no exception to try and take the sort of lessons that you're learning from adapting and move them forward. Like, for instance, especially the inclusivity that Sari mentioned. I think that's important because that's something that may have been lost in the past about these type of festivals, and so I think that's a great point, and I applaud you guys for thinking that way.
Yeah, we've been trying to innovate. COVID is a challenge, but we've really been trying to innovate. One example is, in addition to the tremendous work, the staff at AJFF is phenomenal, and they've been working so hard and doing a great job. But in addition to that, they've really picked up some new things. Started a podcast this year. Started AJFF in Conversation. Started new programming. And that's been really exciting. And the other thing that was really fun and exciting is that we have created a filmmaker fund to help support filmmakers who might be struggling to finish or even start their films. And this year at AJFF 2021, we will be premiering the first film that's gotten grant money from AJFF. And it's going to be shown, and it's a film specifically about Atlanta and our wider community and how we've dealt with COVID. And it is being put on by 3 local filmmakers.
Wow, that's terrific.
It's an exciting opportunity. And as you and I said, what's going to move forward? We're going to keep that going and hopefully make it even bigger and continue making grants and help filmmakers do their craft and then bring it to our audience.
And so folks know the film that Sari's talking about is called Atlanta, the City Too Busy to Wait. And like she said, it was made by filmmakers who've submitted films to the Jewish Film Festival in the past. And it's really about how the city of Atlanta and the Jewish community in Atlanta responded to COVID-19 and to the pandemic. So it's absolutely relevant, and it's still going on even today, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be something that if you watch that film, you're guaranteed to see things, people from around this city that you probably know. So it's really a perfect thing for the city of Atlanta, I think.
No, that sounds terrific. Especially, I really applaud people getting behind filmmakers and giving them the tools to be able to help pursue their passion for cinema. Because obviously, as a filmmaker, I'm always appreciative of people who've allowed me to do that. So great, kudos to the festival on that account. So one of the things I did want to ask is specifically you mentioned one film, but what are the most exciting films you're ready to share with everybody? Kind of give us some of the highlights.
All right. Well, this is right up my alley. As a film critic and as the chair of the film evaluation committee, I got a list that I could probably spend the next hour talking about, but I'll try and pare it down for you. There are a number of really, really great films. I think perhaps the best of them is a film called Asia. It won 9 Israeli Academy Awards, 9 Israeli Oscars, and it's the story of a young mother and her teenage daughter who have a very fractured relationship, but they begin to come together when the daughter comes down with a terrible disease, and it's how they deal with that disease. The film stars Shira Haas, who is probably the best Israeli actress alive today. She is absolutely brilliant. If I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, there was a series on Netflix called Unorthodox. She was the star of Unorthodox.
Mm-hmm.
She received an Emmy nomination for that. So this is an Israeli actress receiving an Emmy nomination in the U.S. That's how great Shira Haas is. She is unbelievable in Asia. She won an Israeli Academy Award for her performance in this film. And we actually got an interview with her that will be part of the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. We talked about those guests. The fact that we got someone, Shira Haas is going to be a major star in Hollywood and around the world for the next 40 years, if not beyond, because she's a young actress. She's incredibly powerful, and that's a fabulous, fabulous film. God, there's so many others. Just a couple of my personal favorites. I don't know if your audience is into horror films or not. We always get, every year we get one horror film at the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. And usually I think they're sort of okay, whatever. There's a film this year called The Vigil that is a story of a man who, there's a Jewish tradition where when someone dies, someone must sit next to the body and sort of watch over the body so that the body is never left alone until it is put into the ground. So there's this film is about a man who's watching over a body, and there's an evil spirit that has infected the body and is coming after him. This movie, The Vigil, is one of the best horror movies I've seen in the past few years. Incredibly creepy. It gave me nightmares for months. If you're someone into horror movies, this is every bit as good as anything you'll get from Hollywood, and I just adored it. There's a film, if you like Holocaust films, there's a film called The Auschwitz Report, which is the unbelievably true story of 2 men who escaped from Auschwitz to tell the world about exactly what was happening in there. It's a piece of Holocaust history that is not widely known, and I can't even tell you how powerful this film is. And then if you like star power, we've got a film called On Broadway. Look, there's nothing that we have missed more, I think, than being able to go out and experience entertainment like movies and like Broadway, like theater. Right. And this film On Broadway is really a celebration of theater. And it includes just a nonstop cavalcade of huge, huge stars, most of them movie stars, but they also perform on Broadway. And so, they're all talking about how important Broadway is to them and to their career. I could go on and on and on. Those are just some of the really great films. And virtually everything in the festival is really fabulous, but those are ones I just wanted to highlight really quickly.
How many films are you doing this year? Like, do you have a number? It doesn't have to be exact.
Oh gosh, I think it's like, Sari, is it like 30 or 40 this year? It's a little less than we have in past years.
I think it's 38 from what I read.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Martin, you get the points.
I have some films that I'm very excited about. The first 3 that I'm really excited about, I just have to say 2 words: Donut Truck. There will be a donut at the drive-in, hot cocoa. It's festive. So I'm really excited about the film Shiva Baby, which is showing on Thursday, February 18th. And right after sundown. So it's going to be a really fun experience. Pull up your car, relax, hang out, go get some donuts, and enjoy what's a really fun and funny film. And then the other two drive-ins are happening on Saturday, February 20th, also at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Home Depot backyard. And then the other one is Little Shop of Horrors. We're showing on Sunday, February 21st, all evening right after sundown. So those are going to be super fun. Another one that's really fun, the opening night film, Kiss Me Kosher, is funny. Like, we had to start this festival happy.
Yeah.
And we want to be a happy place. So the opening night film, Kiss Me Kosher, is fun. It's funny. It's interesting. It'll open your eyes to a different world than you might normally experience. And just for that night, opening night, theater goers in your own couch will get a festival in a box with lots of treats to help you just feel connected and appreciate what is the start, the kickoff of what's going to be a phenomenal festival.
And actually one more thing I wanted to add really quick. We have short films that are part of the film festival. And for people out there that don't do the film festival kind of thing, short films, there's just not a lot of opportunities to get to see them. A short film is, by Hollywood's definition, anything less than 40 minutes. Most of our short films are in the, some of them are as short as, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Most of them are in the 10, 12, maybe 20-minute kind of range. And we put together these little short showcases. We have 4 of them that we put together for this year's festival. And they're, a combination of, just different kind of movies. And again, you just would not get to see these if you didn't see them in a festival. There is one specific one that's part of our short showcase number 4. It's a film called Mazel Tov Cocktail. And it is, I've watched, through my role with the film festival, I've watched hundreds and hundreds of short films over the past few years to pick the ones that are going to be in the festival. Mazel Tov Cocktail might be my favorite of any of them. It's sort of a combination of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, meets like an angry Jewish kid who's rebelling against neo-Nazis at his school, if you can imagine that. It is a really clever, interesting film. It's a German film, and there's so many little gems in our short showcases that I hate that they get ignored because everyone goes for the bigger titles. So I just wanted to plug those as well.
No, definitely. Mike and I are always advocating for short film sets because you can catch a variety of films in one short film program. Like you mentioned, the blocks are curated with several different films, so you might run the whole gambit between comedy, drama, and horror in a short film block. So yeah, definitely recommend that to anybody.
And documentaries. There's a short film documentary we have called The Space Torah, which is about an astronaut who took a Torah into space with him. That is just a great little film. I had no idea of the history of this, and it's a fascinating little story.
Nice.
Sounds great.
There is another film that I'm very excited about. It's called They Ain't Ready for Me. And it just seems phenomenal. It's a documentary, and it's about, it's a true story, obviously, of this African-American rabbinic student who is trying to save the people on Chicago's South Side.
Wow. Okay.
And it just follows her efforts, and she's just like, even the trailers, her energy is, and also her chutzpah, her willingness to just stand up to anyone and be real. I'm really excited for that film.
Awesome. So I think that's all. That's a lot of great films. They sound wonderful, and we can't wait to check some of them out. So hopefully everybody can go to AJFF.org and catch their tickets for all these films. Mike, I think it's about time for rapid fire, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have one more question
Okay.
before, and just a short answer is fine. But since this podcast is aimed at filmmakers in Atlanta, how do filmmakers, get into the the AJFF? What are the requirements, and what are you looking for?
Well, we take submissions throughout the year. There'll be a certain point where when you go to the AJFF.org website, it'll say, we're now accepting submissions for the 2021, 2022. Obviously the next one will be the 2022 festival, and there's forms that you fill out there to provide us with a copy of your film, and then we have a committee of more than 200 people, and that's the committee that I chair, that watches all the submissions, every single one of them. There's nothing that does not get watched. And we evaluate them. We score them on several different categories, whether they fit with the mission of the festival, the quality of the film, and then the simple matter of, do you recommend it for the festival or do you not? And then we have a long discussion on the committee about each and every one of those films. Does it belong? Do we think it should be a part of the festival or not? And if we think it, if the committee comes to a consensus and thinks it should be, a potential finalist, we go ahead and put it through. And then there's a smaller group that looks at only the finalists to pick the ones that will make it into the festival.
Right.
But yeah, it's very easy. And if you go to the AJFF.org website, you'll be able to see exactly how you submit a film for consideration.
One other way that filmmakers can participate, we have a lot of committees. We have a huge core of volunteers. I mean, as Jason said, he has 200 volunteers who are watching films for each year's film festival. There's also an amazing community engagement committee that essentially talks about partners and partnerships and trying to bring different ideas to be discussed and to kind of create the conversations around the films. And we have a guest programming committee that just focuses on bringing guests in that would be interested, and particularly filmmakers, actors, writers. I mean, anyone who has participated in the creation of that film goes through the guest programming. But you can serve on any of these committees. If you live in Atlanta now because of Zoom, you might not even have to. There are a lot of really fun committees to volunteer on, and it's a great way to get a sense of community, love of film, and the people are really nice. You do not have to be Jewish. In fact, we welcome all views and hope for additional different lenses at the table. And so I highly recommend getting involved in volunteering.
Right. Thanks for that information. All right. So yeah, we're running low on time, but we do normally wrap our interviews up with a rapid fire segment. So these are like really quick answer, first thing that comes to the mind type thing. So you ready for it?
Go for it.
Yeah.
All right. First question: popcorn or candy?
Both. That's a cop-out answer, but I love. Well, no, hold on. I love my popcorn, but I have to have my popcorn with sweet tarts. That's my thing. Popcorn and sweet tarts.
Okay.
That's an interesting combination.
Yeah.
I like Milk Duds and Twizzlers.
Okay, cool. So it's candy.
Candy is the majority rule there. All right. Okay. Number 2 is front of the theater or the back of the theater?
Well, the middle.
I'm kind of a front of the theater, not the very first row, but you put me in about the 4th row, I'm pretty happy. I like to be immersed in the film, and when I'm in the back, that's much harder.
Definitely.
Right.
Definitely. I agree.
So that's the way I feel about it too, because otherwise I might as well be watching it on my TV at home if I'm in the back. But middle's good too. But I didn't give that option, but yeah. Number 3, Spielberg or Scorsese?
Spielberg.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Spielberg guy more than a Scorsese guy. Although Goodfellas is better than anything Spielberg's ever done. So
yeah, that's a caveat. But yeah, I mean that's a tough choice. It's a tough choice. So.
Spielberg makes me happy.
Yes,
that's the tendency to go there.
I will say this: you're more likely to get something that's sort of just with Spielberg, but you're also more likely to get something that you love with Spielberg.
Right. Number 4, Netflix or Hulu, or pick your own favorite streaming service.
Oh, don't make me choose. I love them all. I do. I can't cheat on any of them. I go from Hulu. I jump from Hulu to Netflix. I love the PBS app too. Prime. I mean, I love it. All of it. It's great.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Netflix, even though probably my favorite streaming show is The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Prime. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love The Boys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but Netflix overall is probably best.
Right.
Cool.
And then finally, the fifth and most important question: Star Wars or Star Trek?
Another one. Don't make me choose between things that I love. I
we
love them
we asked
both.
we asked the tough questions here.
It's a very
Exactly.
tough
Hard hitting.
question.
God, I hate this question because Star Wars has such a special place in my heart, but there have been some terrible, I mean, terrible Star Wars movies.
Right.
And
Sure.
Star Trek is a lot more consistent. I mean, the Star Trek TV shows are almost universally great, and the Star Trek movies have a better batting average than the Star Wars movies. I mean,
Oh, come on, Mandalorian.
yes, you're right. I hadn't even thought about Mandalorian. Yes, Mandalorian is fabulous. I love Mandalorian. But
definitely Star Wars, but I love them both.
Rise of Skywalker is an abomination that cannot be forgiven.
Well, Sari, that's the exact right answer. We both love them both, but Star Wars is the answer.
And they created a whole new way of filmmaking. I mean, think about what they did, what they accomplished, and the payoff. I mean, we're still getting the joy of things they created to make those films. It's phenomenal.
Sarah, you're aware that Star Trek came first, right?
I am very aware. I am very, very aware, especially since I watched not too long ago. I guess it must have been a COVID thing. Watched like the original, the pilot of the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
You know, you see the little the ship hanging on a string, you know, and then the guy is wearing a glove and he's in this alien fortress and he takes off his protective glove to put his hand on the wall where the creepy looking colored thing is. I mean, it was hysterical. But the advances in technology that occurred in the making of Star Wars, just phenomenal. The sound, everything, the effects. It's changed filmmaking. And you can't argue with that, can you, Jason?
Yeah, but there's nothing as bad in the Star Trek world as Rise of Skywalker. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Because, there's one of the Star Trek movies, The Quest for Peace, I think it was. I'm trying to remember. The one with the whales. The one with the whales is really bad. Really bad.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. No, but thanks. That's great. Good answers, and obviously these questions are
you guys
hard hitting
and
debatable. Some of them.
By the way, the real question you're supposed to ask is Picard or Kirk.
Yeah, there you go. Oh. That's a tough one.
I like their question better.
Yeah, the Star Wars Star Trek is super easy for me, but Picard Kirk that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I mean, I got my answer, but
what is it?
It's Kirk, and it's mainly because of actually a movie called Free Enterprise. Not necessarily.
Oh,
his
I've seen that. Great film.
Yeah. But so it's Kirk because of nostalgia.
Well, great. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We hope that our listeners, visit the festival site, go to the live screenings. The live screenings sound like a lot of fun. The donut truck has me really intrigued. But before we wrap up, do you guys have any kind of things you want to say? Like just where can people get in contact with you? Are you on social media? What type of things like that?
Yeah, so I'm all over Twitter. Jason Duke Evans is my Twitter handle, and go ahead, go there. You'll find my film reviews. Just reviewed Minari a couple days ago, and I've got when this comes out, I just recently reviewed Minari and Judas and the Black Messiah and a bunch of other really, really wonderful films. It's a great time of year for movies and to be a film critic because we're getting all the awards contenders.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And everything is pretty much on our website, AJFF.org. Of course, we're out on social media, but our website is action packed, but it's also updated constantly. So when we're able to get a great guest, it immediately goes up on the website. We have these beautiful program guides, really a keepsake, and to thank all of our many sponsors for supporting us and really, really just showing our community how much we care. But the website itself is just the most amazing tool for finding your way through to films, question and answers, any kind of how-tos, and also, on a non-COVID year, we do all year-round programming. So we're about a lot more than just a film festival that's over a number of days. So I can't wait to get back to our all year-round experiences and our Q&As and our films and being out in our community.
I miss movie theater popcorn.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We'd love to have you back sometimes. We can continue our Star Wars, Star Trek debate or something like that. But
you guys won me over. You guys won me over. I'll go Star Wars. I was torn anyway.
It's been great. It's been a real joy to meet you guys, and it's been a pleasure. So thanks so much for having us.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for listening once again. We really hope you enjoyed our talk with the AJFF. I hope you check out some of their screenings online or in person. Martin, do you have any other comments about the AJFF or anything else?
I just have a comment on everybody enjoying themselves. Try to take this opportunity to reach out online to everyone that you know and wish them a happy day.
All right. Well, when you're not busy watching films at the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival's online screenings, please be sure to share this podcast and also rate it while you're there. It really helps us out. Before we go, I also want to thank Eureka Failure for providing us the music as they do each and every week. We really appreciate it. And that's about it. We'll see you next time on the CinemATL podcast.